Okay, thank you again, Elena, for inviting me to talk. So, as I love connecting the dots, maybe I'll just show you guys what's currently happening with me, and again, what my experience with CDU and how it helped me a lot. So, my first slide would just be just showing you when me and Sam first met, and even our first meeting slash invited talk. So, I think I'm the only one here right now. And look at Sam, his haircut. Now I have that haircut because of quarantine. Yep. So that started like 2 years ago, I think. Anyways, moving on. So I'd like to discuss like all the roles that I had with CDU and how it kind of would translate, right? So currently I'm the AWS Apprenticeship Program Manager. I'm also an STC instructor. I had been a graduate student, a teaching assistant, um, club member. Also, I've been to work with the front desk and international student office. But these are the roles that I think were most helpful. As an AP manager, definitely strengthened my Linux Ubuntu CentOS. So that's about the sysadmin side. Also, it really helped me put in a position where I could really do a management of people. My wonderful TAs are here. I never want to be in a management position, but it looks like it's going towards that. So let's just maximize whatever we have. As STC instructor, basically gave me a good, better foundation with networking, information systems, and about teaching, right? So in teaching assistant, doing the hands-on practice, supporting and troubleshooting, it really helps me in how to think about the other person's perspective and how to debug. As a graduate student, I've learned AWS as well with our cloud computing class, the capstone, documentation, architecture analysis of full stack. Also, it really helped that I took not only on-site courses but also online courses. With that, I did have the best of both worlds, meeting on-site people and online people as well, right? And club members, during my time in the club, I've learned about basic WordPress from Sam, learn how to communicate and present better, network with a lot of people such as you guys, learn about Selenium just because I think that time a lot of capstone students were presenting about Selenium. So some of the Linux concept that I really find helpful were some of the commands I learned: partitioning, mounting, networking, file system, process ID. And for AWS, right now, what's really relevant is the EC2 instance, CloudWatch, S3 as well, and other stuff. So WordPress, building and updating content. So now you might be wondering, like, I'm in this management position, but I still I'm currently doing side projects aside from my time here. And the very first one that I have, because I want to keep mentioning this, is don't be picky, right? The first one I have is basically doing WordPress, and it's with a real estate company. So it's just a CEO and only me. Actually, he's not CEO really. He's like I forgot what it's called. Maybe the developer in the real estate, something like that. So skills that I use WordPress because I done WordPress. I know Elementor and they're using VV, so that was easy. The new thing that I learned is basically getting a user feedback whenever we meet. Oh, I like this design. Oh, I like to put this content. Oh, I should we should write this content this way. It should present this way for real estate. Oh, it should present this way for investors. So that kind of helped me gain some user feedback experience. So how did I get the job? It's through a CDU staff. Okay, so notes again, content writing, color design, layout design, once a week meeting. So it's the website. I know it's not really the full blown web development, but you don't have to be picky because it does show you how to do hosting, how to update content, how to manage plugins and stuff like that. Which, if you're part of the club, you should be having access to a web page as well. Another thing that I'm working on the site right now is because with NDA, so it might be pretty vague. So it's basically a vendor management system. I'm not gonna go specific what exactly, This is more of like a sorry. I think I skipped over. Let's go over startup one first. So another startup I'm working is it's kind of like a social media platform, but again, not really with NDA. So the team only consists of CEO and me as a developer. And then what skills that I've used? Angular. This one, I've learned this where in the AAP program, because we have to teach full stack web development. During that time, I had to support, not teach. Okay, and also what Angular when I had my capstone, Angular was part of it as well. In terms of authentication, Auth0, I was exposed to that just because of being in Seattle and meetups. S3, again, AWS, and in our classes, repository, you guys have been doing this in the hands on. So, how did I get the job? Surprisingly, through an online classmate in CU. Because if you're an international student, you might have more chances to interact with local students that need a developer in the online, because most of them are taking online, the local students, right? So think about that as well. So my notes here is I did get to build the app from scratch. I'm being paid per feature. I'm also using it in my OPT. I'm basically disclosing that as part of my OPT. However, because I'm the only developer, it's really hard to build simple features. Sometimes it's too complex, and I don't know the best practices. It's basically a twice a month meeting. So he has some expectation, and he's pretty nice. But I sometimes I would just say yes, it's possible, but I couldn't give him a timetable or timeline because I've never really worked in a team development team environment, like software development team. So aside from this, I'm also doing another startup. This one it's more mature. So basically, they have like a lot of they have a fully working uh, minimum viable product, which is called MVP. The team consists of the CEO, product manager, and right now there's really dedicated one Java backend and one React front end developer. Right now they're using me as a technical writer because I love documentation, so that's how I got in. I said I love writing documentation, and maybe help with the unit testing, acceptance testing, that part. So because I was first exposed with that company through one person only, and we started with the application roadmap, the research, um, just basically even just Excel. It's like a ton of information, just learning about user stories, and I kind of got stuck there as well when I was like, okay, can you research about this? And I was like, I couldn't I do understand, but I don't know. So whenever I meet with her again, I would say, I do understand, but at the same time, at the back of my head, I don't know. So that's where I started talking to people. And what really helped was when I talked to a technical PM and really told me to, hey, learn about the happy path. Just fix on one straight line and not think about the options you are going to build. I got exposed right away to Confluence. It's where we dump our documentation there, any findings that we have. Asana is where we track our test and bug tracker. Right now, there's tons of it as well. Like think of it's like your Trello. It's kind of the same like that. You can do something like that, like doing done discussion. How did I get the job? Interestingly, it's in a different way. It's an alumni of the CTU Tech Club as well. So that person was contacted first, but because he already have a full time job, what's weird is what happened was he strongly advocate me to get me instead, basically, and that alumni basically told me to, hey, contact this person, and I did meet up with the person, and the person is really really nice and willing to teach me the ropes, even though she's a product manager, but she really knows a lot of technical stuff. So notes about this startup is I learned about happy pets and more like user stories. I know if you're doing your own projects, it's easy to do user stories, but once you have someone telling you that, especially from the business side, it's like it's so really I didn't it was really hard to understand, even though you understand. Kind of weird, right? Also, at first, I researched about Elasticsearch, MongoDB, vendor management systems, and then creating documentation. There was a time that their EC2 instance was down, and surprisingly, it really helped because when they were showing me some of the logs, if I can help with them before asking another developer, I was able to at least say that, hey, you must mount this partition first or whatever, right? Oh, you should be in this correct folder. Because again, most deployments would be in an AMI, Amazon Machine Image, which is also Linux or Unix based. Okay, I gain a lot of perspective with product management again as I deal with the product manager every day. I've learned about Okta and Cognito user authentication process flow. So right now, I can easily tell people how we can use an authentication like Okta or Cognito. So you basically want to, let's say, do a single sign-on and grab that information, store that in the database, and now grab that information again, authenticate with another app. Just an overview. So because the two developers as well are in India, so I do join their developer meetings at 10 p.m. and soak in all the knowledge that I get, and hopefully able to see next time contribute to the code base and maybe contribute to the code base as well. And I do have daily meetings with product manager like 2 to 3 times just to get me up to speed and what to test and what to write basically. And right now the full focus is um, end user um, setup or help section plus doing testing. So currently right now Selenium, I'm using Selenium to automate some of the testing in the browser for their web app. So this is an example because NDA and stuff. So this is an example of, I think this is Confluence. Yeah, Confluence. So it's basically, think of it like a bare minimum WordPress where you can put blog stuff, entries, and you can do markdowns as well. So these has like a lot of subsections as well. And an example that what I've been doing is basically for the end user to basically describe what they're seeing on the page, what are the things that they can interact with, what they can insert with, what values they can put, right? This is an example of Asana. So think of it as like your Trello board as well. You put tasks, you do testing, you assign people, you discuss, you put image, and there's tons of them as well. It doesn't look like for now, but there's tons of them because we do have like each menu has a lot of different testing tasks and each feature has a lot of different testing tasks. The back end has different issues, the front end have different issues, the login and authentication have different issues as well. So right now I'm just in the process of trying to absorb everything and making sure I slowly understand how the whole application work. And again, the application is still in minimum viable product. It's not yet a full blown software, but it's like overwhelming already. It's too much. So like again, server troubleshooting it kind of helps that people would know like, oh, you're doing web app. You go to the console, and just by knowing what status code it is, would help them right away. Especially if the product manager is not really techie, right? Not super techie. Because I've used EC2 CloudWatch, I can redirect them and say, hey, there's a spike. So this is just like we can see a spike, but again, with the memory, you have to do something else to get the memory chart. Lessons. To wrap it up now, what I'm basically saying is CDU has a lot to offer really. So I've been with CDU for 2 years now, maybe 3 years if you count the MBA track that I was doing for half a year. So utilize it, be active, make your presence be felt, embrace the CDU because we are a tech school. I strongly believe now that we are a tech school. 2 years ago, I started that. I want to be a tech school, but now we are a tech school. Remember that. Utilize your friends, okay? It's okay to be a generalist. Like we've learned a lot. There's a lot of intro courses in CDU like sysadmin, cloud, web dev, documentation, presentation, and use whatever skill set you have and don't be picky. Like what I said, WordPress is still part of web development, right? You can freelance with WordPress if possible. Network and build relationship. Have friends or connections that would strongly advocate for you. Referrals nowadays is like doesn't really work. It just gets piled up. You really need someone who would go out of the way to, hey, can you interview this person? Hey, can you interview my friend? Like straight to the hiring manager. So I had some of those interviews like that, even though I bombed it because I'm not really the best coding um, interview challenge taker, right? Working with experienced developers and product manager for the first time. So even though it's taking a lot of hours, I really really like it because I am really exposed. Not only because if you're doing something on your own, you don't know what you know, you don't know what you don't know, and then you end up doing things not in the best practice, right? So I've asked other alumni as well. They also have the same feeling that they go out there even though they already experienced, but it's still different when you work with teams in the development team. So it is hard, but it will make sense in the end. So just have grit and just be honest of what you know. I would just actively say, "Oh, I don't know this. Can you explain this definition? Oh, I don't know what that user or role is doing. Can you explain that?" So just being honest and just having that learner's mindset or a growth mindset would really go a long way. So that's about it. And I would just like to wrap up with my LinkedIn, Free Code Camp, YouTube channel, and my Mixcloud if you guys, because I don't really upload a lot anymore, but that's my profile where you can connect. Message me in LinkedIn or CDU email me. I basically want to give back. CDU has given me a lot of things, a lot of skills, soft skills, and opportunities. So I'm definitely here to give back any help that I can. So I think that's for my presentation.
Thank you very much, Clark. I like how you started off your journey with meeting Sam. That was nice.
Yeah, so that meeting was like it was good
Yeah.
and harsh at the same time because during that time it was like show me your resume and I was like well I don't have anything in my resume. I know that and I'm trying to build it but he's like show me yours looks nothing, do better. He was harsh before. Yeah.
Sam, any comments? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, yeah, a lot of students they have a misunderstanding. Okay, if I get a master degree in computer science, then a lot of jobs are available in front of me. No, here, if you are a business owner, you are looking for a person who can solve a problem. So that times why I try to encourage Clark, but actually I didn't disappoint him. So he really studied hard, work hard, and work with other people. Always you can find some person who has advanced skills. Even here, you think you don't have anything, but you have something. And by sharing what you have with others, then you can improve yourself. You can reinforce your learning. That part the Clark did a great job. I appreciate that. Also, in the middle of that, some fortune happened. For example, Amazon AWS apprenticeship program. Last year, I was extremely busy because I have to teach a course, I have to develop program. Also, my title was dean or whatever. I was only single faculty, very hard. But then Clark, I joined the team. Then now he can do the Amazon AWS apprenticeship program. Amazon always say two company, Amazon, AWS. So this one is great for us because I could create one position for, although this is a part-time and then also 1 year contract, but it can be very good internal OPT for our student. Also, Scott mentioned, no, Clark, you mentioned that you are doing manager position, but also you are doing full stack developer. Outside, really hard to find the full stack developer. So that part I want to emphasize that. Clark, I have a question to you.
Yep.
Yeah, one is, I saw that you are WordPress, then are you considering any e-commerce package too? WooCommerce?
So that one is not really using e-commerce because they just want to attract clients because it's a real estate developer. They want to try attract investors.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
So Carl, I have a question.
Yes, man.
So I remember you said you want to be full stack web developer,
Mm-hmm.
and now I see you practice like the manager very well. So do you change your mind to product manager something?
Uh, no. If I would manage people, I still want to look out as a like a solutions architect. Think of it like video. So you do manage people, but not really. right? Because you just give an architecture and say, "Hey, can you guys implement this?" And now you go away, right? So I as I love really learning about the psychology, the behavior of people, how we interact, and I know sometimes even gossip. I know, but I don't really like to manage people, but I seem to be doing at least an okay job with it. So again, maximizing what I have.
So I saw your capstone is about the documentation. So for developer, is they need to to know how to document very well, or is for project or product managers feel something?
Also, documentation, that's also part of the developer job. If you have a bigger size team, definitely you have someone who's maintaining that, but also had like a developer background because it's still harder to create a documentation if you're not a developer, right? Unless you are a manager that come from a developer position, so it's easier. Yeah. So and again, even this is a an advice even for those who are new to coding or development. If you can't build a project yet, but you can design a documentation about what the project you would like to do, that itself is good enough, right? A good starting point. People would look at it, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
I see. Sure.
I have a question.
Oh, Shanchan.
So I saw you said sometimes you just learn new tools and skill during your working. And my question is, should we meet the skill set first then to apply the job, or should we apply the job first then to learn the skills? How
So
do we know the requirements and should we apply the job or not?
yeah, so again, there would be a lot of people saying that you should really specialize, but I recently stumbled upon, like, I think a few months ago, again, like a mentor online. Like, I've been watching YouTube, a legit mentor, and he's been saying, full stack developer. It's it's gonna take you years to be a full stack developer. So even this one, you can think of it like maybe a joke, right? But I still want to put it there. But again, he was saying that what you need to learn is you have to be a generalist so you can apply to more jobs and just get your foot in the door. So let's say me doing knowing more a lot about Linux and sysadmin might get me a foot in the door. And an example would be me doing documentation got me a foot in the door and just showing that I can do documentation, and now they're gonna expose me to the development team, right? So I strongly believe now that being a generalist kind of helps you getting your first job. And now, let's say once I'm inside, their stack is basically React and Java. Let me learn React and Java pretty good, and that's basically doing specialization. And again, not only what would really help that is basically try to find people that you have good connections and really strongly advocate for you.
Clark, I want to mention that I saw that you involved in two new startup projects. Those things, did you apply for job or they found you through somebody?
All of them, they found me.
Right. That's the why I'm telling my student, if you are doing the many good things in cyberspace, for example, LinkedIn, also even your YouTube, your website, people try to find you. I know you will apply for job. Many cases what? If you know that many things in cyberspace, you manage it very, very well, they will find you. That's why I teach it a lot of my students. While you are sleeping, somebody's are looking for you. As long as you have a very good presence in cyberspace. For example, you have a very good developer. You don't have to tell I'm very good developer. Publish everything to the GitHub. That's why all of our program, any programming class, they have to use the cutting edge tools. Visual Studio Code is very good, and GitHub. So please work on your LinkedIn, your build your website. If you want to contact him, we can give an account to you. So means your job search already started. You don't have to wait for it. Yeah, that's my comment. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to have also one more question. You talked about being a technical writer. You seem to have enjoyed that really much. What exactly do you do as a technical writer?
So I can quickly show you like an example. So for example, I want to go CloudWatch documentation. So this is another example that how it would look like. Um, Writing this step by step. And so in the GitHub, people would also write that. Oops, let's maybe look for CloudWatch. Let's say. And again, for those who have experience either creating hands-on practice or at least going through hands-on practice, really helps a lot because most of the documentation would be like that. And at first, it might be really hard to like do how. So there's different ways to write. One is like the end user, and another one is let's say for developers, like if they want to use and connect to those stuff. So something like this. So being clear in communication. That's why when you're writing your papers, make sure that you make the papers useful to you as well. So you write stuff that you're clear, making bullet points, making that one, and making the sequence good, making sure you covered everything that a non-tech could understand as well. Screenshots, things like that.
I see. Okay, thanks for the example. All right. Thank you, Clark. Any
Yeah.
other questions?
So again,
Last call.
a last bit for like quick 30 seconds maybe. So for those who haven't seen my capstone, so it's also documentation. It looks like this. And actually when I went and checked my channel, it already has like 100 plus views. It's basically this. It basically explains what full stack is. And a lot of people found it helpful actually. Okay, so I'm gonna end there. Yep.
Uh, did you have this website also linked to your presentation?
No, but I can just add that in the slides later. Yep.
Okay.
Can you send it to the chat box as well?
Yes.